This story tells of the Emperor Cultivator's return to his past on Earth. The Emperor suddenly woke up in his class in a sleeping position. He screamed, "Despicable Emperor!" His friends who were around him all laughed. Shu Han looked around him. He remembered that this was the time when he was in high school, April 12th, which was exactly 3 hours before the change in the Earth's aura. You see Pan Lian coming to block Shu Han and throw Shu Han's love letter on the floor. He insults Shu Han and says that he is poor and has nothing to be proud of. Pan Lian also scoffs that Shu Han is completely inappropriate to write love letters to him. Even though it was a trap love letter prepared by Shiman Qing, Pan Lian's girlfriend, who was used to blackmail Shu Han for 2 years. Unexpectedly, Shu Han immediately responded to Pan Lian. He insulted him openly. Shu Han says, "Look at you, you are as cunning as a fox, I like you? Are you kidding?" His friends said, "We didn't hear wrong, right?" He actually dared to insult Pan Lian. Is he really Shu Han? Another friend replied, "We saw when Pan Lian's boyfriend, Shiman Qing came." Pan Lian said, "Shu Han, what are you saying? You can see that his body is also shaking." Suddenly, Shiman Qing came into the same room with his gang. Pan Lian immediately pretended to cry and hugged Shiman Qing. Pan Lian asks her boyfriend to beat up Shu Han, because he dared to taunt him as a cunning fox. Shiman Qing intervened. She said to Shu Han, "You dare to call my boyfriend like that, you will regret it." But Shiman Qing turns out to give Shu Han a chance by depositing money with him every day. Shu Han said to Shiman Qing, "Stupid." Shiman immediately grabbed Shu Han's collar and shouted, "Do you know who you are talking to?" Shu Han unexpectedly kicked Shiman Qing in the stomach and fainted on the spot. Shu Han immediately left the class and left his friends, who were so surprised. They thought, how could Shiman Qing be defeated by Shu Han? He was very strong and too terrible. It was seen outside the room that Shu Han walked casually and said, "I will be stronger than before." He thought that now it is still very weak and poor, and the earth is undergoing changes. Therefore he must be able to seize all forms of resources and become strong as soon as possible, as well as destroy his enemies and rule this world. A woman can be seen on top of the building monitoring Shu Han, who is running from his school. He said, "Our class has a strong person like him. How could I not notice he was Li Yunzi?" Shin moved where Shu Han was standing on the side of the road and holding his cell phone to dial someone's number. There was an answer from someone on the cell phone. "Hello." Shu Han answered by saying his name, Lao Er. Lao replied, "Who is this? How do you know my name?" Shu Han warns Lao Er to get out of school immediately, because there will be a big change in the world. Run and take cover to the nearest mountain and wait for the first recovery phase to finish. Shu Han also convinced his words, "Please believe in me, I've never hurt you, believe me." Lao Er is a person who means a lot to Shu Han, because he was the one who saved Shu Han in his previous life. But he died saving Shu Han, so in the end Shu Han won't let him die in this life. Lao Er looks so confused. Who is the person who called him by saying something big change on Earth? But Lao Er felt what he heard from a good person, and could probably believe it. Lao Er went. He thought the closest mountain was Kibaeguan Mountain, which was 1 hour away from his school dormitory. You can see Shu Han riding his motorbike to go to the Garden City of Ornament. It is an ancient building at the foot of the mountain, the most intense place when awakening occurs. Shu Han remembered that there was a 9-leaf lotus flower there, so he could awaken Xiao Xian's qualifications. He used to let the treasure go, and then Shu Han regretted it very much. He couldn't remember exactly, but Shu Han remembered many great armies fighting and many monks dying. You can see the grandparents are angry with Shu Han for running through a red light as he pleases. Shu Han arrived at the intended location. There were several thugs waiting there and blocking Shu Han from entering. They say that today's ornamental garden is not open to the public and tell Shu Han to leave. Shu Han protests and says this is a public place, who dares to block it? The thug grabbed Shu Han's collar. Without mercy, Shu Han beat the thug. Shu Han used his purification moves even though his body lacked strength, but it was enough to take down the thugs. Shu Han said, "You are lucky because he has not fulfilled his resurrection power, otherwise you will die." Shu Han was already standing on a rocky cliff. He then remembered that this was where the nine-leaf lotus was found. But then a group of people came to see Shu Han. They were a group from Liang Shu, the person who rented the garden. Liang Shu was angry at Shu Han. "Is he a fool for daring to provoke me?" said Liang Shu. Shu Han remembered Liang Shu. In his previous life, he was the one who obtained the nine-leaf lotus. He eventually became famous and fought monsters and became a hero to many people, but he eventually died because of a conflict with a foreign cultivator. Shu Han wonders, is he really Liang Shu, or just pretending Shu Han's words to Liang Shu and his group? Unexpectedly, when the battle was about to occur, the moment Shu Han had been waiting for arrived. That is the awakening of the world, when the earth shakes and many auras scatter. During this period, the world will be chaotic. He doesn't know how many people will die. Medicine and Lingbao appear a lot. Those who have the opportunity will develop and become strong. Ling Xiao scolded Shu Han, "Hey you idiot, it's dangerous here, let's run," but Shu Han immediately jumped between the rocks around the waterfall. Shu Han climbed up the cliff and climbed up the hill. Here he saw a shining nine-leaf lotus and a recovered aura. Shu Han thought that after he got the lotus leaf he would awaken his cultivation as soon as possible. "Then I will go to Jingxi Canyon on the outskirts of the city. This is the best thing for the initial phase." Shu Han was shocked by his body suddenly emitting strength. "What happened? I haven't awakened my strength yet." With this, Shu Han has a greater chance of being able to quickly ascend to the realm of Emperor. When he was about to go out, Shu Han noticed that there was a fruit that emitted a very strong aura. If it weren't for his increased cultivation, Shu Han wouldn't have felt the aura of the fruit. It was the rarest Zugo fruit. Shu Han was almost fooled by the fruit's appearance. With the 3 Zugos, his cultivation can improve quickly. Suddenly a Liang Shu appeared who climbed up the hill. He said, "Hold on, this world is going through great chaos. I just saw a mountain that appeared suddenly, and there was a dragons flying in the sky. What exactly happened?" Shu Han then ordered Liang Shu to take a nine-leaf lotus to awaken his cultivation. Liang Shu wasn't so bad either, so he gave it back to the hero's original owner in the past. Shu Han then said goodbye and immediately left the cliff by jumping very high. Ling Xiao was surprised by Shu Han's jump. He thought Shu Han was flying to the sky, and thought that the world had indeed changed. You can see that Shu Han has come down from the cliff. He thinks his jump is still too low at this time. Then he thought where he could absorb the Zugo fruit as soon as possible. It was seen that Shu Han was absorbing the Zhuge fruit in one of the rented houses. Shu Han thought that by absorbing the fruit, Shu Han could break through the intermediate stages. 3 days later, Shu Han had absorbed all the aura from the fruit, and his cultivation had already broken through to the late mid-foundation stage. And his body is full of strength, so it is very comfortable. You see Shu Han walking into his school gate. Many students talk about chaos from various parts of the world. And many people have already awakened their cultivation. Several people at his school have awakened their powers after eating a strange fruit. There are those who suddenly can fly and change their bodies. There was another meeting between Shimenqing and Shu Han. He told Shu Han that he seemed to have run away. Apparently he dared to come. Shu Han drove Shimenqing's group away. He said get lost. His friends were shocked by God's words. Shimenqing turned out to have awakened his strength by eating the fruit of power generation. Out of emotion, Shimenqing ended up beating Shu Han using the power of the cultivator he had obtained. Unexpectedly, Shu Han punched Shimenqing directly and was immediately sent flying. Shimenqing's girlfriend, who saw being thrown away, was trembling with fear. Finally he also took out his strength and planned to kill Shu Han because he was annoyed at being defeated by Shu Han continuously. Without further ado, Pan Lian also has to accept defeat like Shimenqing's girlfriend, thus making the two people faint on the spot with such a miserable defeat. Not long after, an octopus monster appeared that destroyed the school building. Everyone was so panicked about the incident. A small child is seen crying looking for his mother. Without further ado, the monster will kill the child. When Shu Han was about to use his strength to fight the monster, a woman came to save a child who was about to be attacked by a monster. He is the head of the Shuhan class, namely Li Yunji. Lianzi asked Shuhan to take care of the child, because Li Yunji was going to fight the monster. The class leader said, "It will be hard to protect you and give you some cultivation items." Shuhan with a confused look, he thought, protect me? I am the king of the gods, a girl trying to protect me? Is he trying to tease me? Shuhan thought. In the end, only saw the head of the class fighting monsters. Shuhan thought that the potential released by Li Yunji was quite good. If he joined Shuhan, it would make his way forward clearer. Who was still standing around the scene of the fight asked the little boy who was saved earlier to go away. But the child was worried about Li Yunji, who was beating the enemy, whether he could beat him. Shuhan tried to calm him down, and there was no need to worry about him because the older brother was very strong. Finally they went out from the place of battle. Shin moved where Shuhan had arrived at Jingxi Canyon. It looked like there were so many people in Jingxi Canyon. Shuhan thought, in his previous life only 2 families knew about it, but why are there so many people coming now? It was seen that some people were talking about the holy fruit appearing. But the news was still so confusing, that many cultivators came. Some hoped to obtain the sacred fruit, and become a cultivator. Seeing Liangshu rebuke Shuhan, "God, I never thought I would see you again, I was very happy," said Liangshu. Finally, Shuhan answered Liangshu, "You are here too, have you absorbed the 9-leaf lotus?" asked Shuhan. Liangshu said, "After taking it, I can now absorb the heaven and earth aura." "You are really a good person, it was there that I learned the preciousness of the sacred plant," said Liangshu. Liangshu also admired Shuhan very much, because a sacred plant that could cultivate was valued at $100 million. And Shuhan delivers easily. "First don't call me God, my name is Shuhan, then tell me the situation here now." Liangshu said, "Brother Su, the problem is that someone posted the news, that in Jingxi Canyon there will be monsters and sacred treasures. So that attracts the attention of many people." Shuhan thought, if he knew about such an incident, why didn't he just take it upon himself? Instead, he just posted the news. Shuhan is sure, fate is different from the past. Then came the Luji troop from the Lu family, Feng Ganzi and Feng Jinyu from the Feng family. I heard that those 2 people were geniuses who had already started cultivation before the aura awakening happened. Liangshu explained that the Lu and Feng families were the largest families in Nandao City. And Miss Lu is one of the genius cultivators at the beginning of aura recovery. My family and Lu family have a business, does Brother Su want to join? Liangshu said. Shuhan said that he was not interested, then he left and was chased by Liangshu, who was following him. Around Miss Lu Jia there seems to be Pan Lian and her boyfriend, who was now a member of Miss Lu Jia or Lu Yunji. He told Shuhan, by looking at Miss Lu's current identity, he was a far cry from Shuhan. He says he should apologize to Miss Lu. But Shuhan immediately said idiot to his 2 classmates. Everyone was so shocked, Sun Liang who laughed loudly, thus attracting the attention of many people. Liangshu said that he couldn't hold it in any longer. He said that Brother Shuhan was a funny person. When everyone respected him so much, yet he dared to say idiot to his followers. Shuhan was still indifferent. He said to Liangshu, "I don't have time to deal with their silliness, I'll leave them to you," said Shuhan to Liangshu. Miss Lu was so annoyed with Shuhan, she said wait until he sees his true strength, he needs to know that there are things he can't handle. He thought his business was not finished with Shuhan, because this was the first time he was ignored in public. Then Feng Jiyu defended Lu Yunji, saying that Shuhan was an ant. After entering the mountain, he will help kill it, said Feng Jiyu. Yunji said not to meddle in his affairs, and he could take care of it himself. 3 days later at Jingxi Canyon Mountain, we saw that Shuhan was cultivating. He had a lot of sacred fruit trees, and there were quite a few beasts that died at his hands, because they weren't a threat to Shuhan. Although Shuhan thought that the fruit he obtained was not as good as Zugo's fruit, it was enough to let him advance to the late foundation stage, and complete the regrets of his previous life. Shuhan thought foundation was the most important stage, which was why he failed to reach such a high realm in the past. That was the previous regret that he regretted, so this time he had to make such a perfect foundation. After absorbing the aura of the holy fruit, he then continued cultivating with the aura gathering method, where this method can only be done on the body of a dead monster beast. This aura gathering technique was extremely simple. It would constantly absorb the aura from the bones and blood of various animals, and gradually transform it into aura. But the higher our cultivation, the stronger the beasts must absorb. Even to purify the aura required a legendary level beast. That is also a factor in the difficulty of cultivators absorbing aura. A day later, I finally obtained the mysterious spirit fruit, Shuhan said. Although it is 3 levels below the Zugo fruit, it is not bad, Shuhan thought. Suddenly someone came to attack. That person wanted the holy fruit that Shuhan brought. He is a Long Boitan using sacred weapons and accompanied by troops who have complete combat weapons. Shuhan immediately insulted his enemy back. Long Baotian, did your mother give you such a stupid name? Long Baotian, annoyed at Shuhan, he said, can you still talk like that? This rocket weapon is ready to launch. This person kills with a weapon like that, that's fine, I want to test my aura purification results. And some cultivators can't hold back those weapons, Shuhan thought. Long Baotian's men immediately released rockets and aimed at Shuhan, and an explosion immediately sounded where Shuhan was standing. Long Baotian's 2 men thought that Shuhan was frightened and surrendered, so he kept quiet from being hit by the rockets. Shuhan was seen coming out of the smoke from the explosion with his aura spreading. Shuhan finally felt the results of his aura purification, thus making his body even stronger. Its iron body allows it to withstand small rocket attacks. Even so, it still hurts a bit to think Shuhan. Shuhan's 3 enemies were immediately shocked by the result. He couldn't believe what had happened. What? He survived, we must have seen it wrong, unbelievable, surprise on the part of Long Baotian. Long Baotian still couldn't believe the situation. He had killed dozens of cultivators with multiple rockets. Long Baotian thought, is there a magic weapon that can destroy his body? And he wouldn't give up so easily on killing Shuhan. He then uses his flying sword to attack Shuhan, and orders Shuhan to give him his body armor artifact. But Shuhan threatens Long Baotian back, you should ask me to cut your body, so give up your wealth and life, said Shuhan. Long Baotian directly attacked Shuhan with his flying sword. Shuhan said that flying sword was very weak. He was not interested in learning flying sword at all. Long Baotian was surprised by the situation that happened, because Shuhan managed to withstand Long Baotian's sword attack. Long Baotian said that the aura barrier should not be able to block the sword, unless one's cultivation base is at the late foundation stage. Shuhan said, it was too late to realize it. Now it's my turn to attack you. Without further ado, Shuhan immediately beat Long Baotian with his physical fist, because that was enough to beat him with only an iron fist. Unmitigated, Shuhan beat the 3 of them until they were thrown very far due to the effect of Shuhan's iron fist. Long Baotian finally gave up and admitted he was heavily outmatched by Shuhan. Finally he handed over his treasure bag to Shuhan. There were various kinds of fruit and weapons that I took from other cultivators. I hope you will accept it, Long Baotian said. This bag and what's in it is what I really need, Shuhan's word. Then I will go, Long Baotian said. But Shuhan restrained him, and immediately used his strength to beat Long Baotian. Long Baotian said that he was from the Long family, and his elder brother was Long Aotian, who was an invincible genius and couldn't be compared to Miss Lu, Baotian said. But it was unlucky that the attack still hit Long Baotian and finally fell to the ground. Shuhan checked Long Baotian's belongings. He is still in the early stages of foundation, but already has this much treasure. The Long family seems to be a wealthy family. Shuhan thought. Then dismantled the treasure, and he saw a lot of sacred weapons. It seems that Long Baotian has killed many enemies. Shuhan was shocked by a bottle emitting a shining stone. Apparently it was a 5-element stone, and one of the spiritual stones needed to build a perfect foundation. With these results, Xu Han's visit to Jingxi Canyon was not in vain. Since the stone's value was unknown, it was one of the extremely rare spiritual stones. Even some cultivators had never heard of this stone or its uses. Although that rock couldn't be compared to what would appear in Jingxi Canyon, it was very useful for some cultivators. Suddenly Xu Han's cell phone rings. Apparently Liangshu is calling Xu Han. Liangshu asked for the location where Xu Han was. Because these few days can't see it at all. Xu Han explained that he was training in the mountain. Did something happen? Asked Xu Han. Liangshu showed him the current situation. He told Xu Han that something was about to appear at the peak, and many cultivators had already come to that place. Liangshu said, maybe we can get lucky if we can get it. Xu Han replied, I know, I'll be there, and immediately closed his cell phone. Liangshu sent a ranking list to Xu Han, telling him to be careful when he met these people. Xu Han looked at the ranking list. Lu Yunji ranked first, then Long Aoshan and Long Baotian. But Xu Han doesn't have to worry. When he encounters a cultivator, as long as he doesn't encounter a foundation late stage, it will be very easy to deal with him, because with his current strength, no one should be able to beat him. Xu Han hopes these two people don't give me too many surprises before I break through the Nen realm. Next I will take the sacred treasure, that is, Jiu Xin Miaoshu. Xin moved to Mount Tai Huangding, where many cultivators had gathered there, and looked at the plants that exuded such a strong aura. They gathered to take the sacred plant. Xu Han, who arrived at the scene, thought, looks like the good positions are all occupied. There it looked, Lu Yunzi is rank 1, Feng Zhenyu as rank 8, rank 3 Silver Wing the War God, and rank 5 Gigantic Cow King. Suddenly beside Xu Han appeared Liangshu, who rebuked Xu Han. He said, there are many cultivators who are after him, but it doesn't matter to you, you've been practicing on the mountain. Xu Han thought there was something wrong with the stone monument, moreover he didn't know about the stone monument in his past life. Liangshu explained that the stone monument had been glowing since a day ago, and it was said that the treasure was inside the stone monument. And it's about to come out. Only the 4 powers like Miss Lu, Feng Zhenyu, Silver Wing, and Ox King have an advantageous position. They entered the Qingyun list, no one dared to disturb them. Some shouted, come, it has appeared, quickly grab it, don't let them take it by themselves, shouted one of the cultivators. Even though they were on the Qingyun list, they couldn't face this many people. Kill him, said the cultivator. Not long after, the Cow King immediately took out the barrier. Liangshu asked Xu Han to hurry up to follow the other cultivators, then Xu Han went and asked Liangshu to just wait in place. Then Xu Han immediately jumped and was at the edge of the stone monument. It was seen that Lu Yunji looked at Xu Han, then warned Xu Han that he knew that he had the ability, but the fight that would happen here would be beyond your imagination. As a classmate I will warn you, Lu Yunzi said. Xu Han said, I agree with you, class president, I will go later. Lu Yunji was irritated with Xu Han. He thought, why are you even happy, is there something wrong? Thought Lu Yunji. Liangshu then rebuked Xu Han, brother Su, are you really leaving? Xu Han said, the sacred treasure isn't here, it's just a decoy, the surrounding area has been destroyed. Liangshu was surprised, what, how come? Xu Han then, he thought, since the Jiu Xin Miao tree is not here, then where did it appear, thought Xu Han. On second thought it seems that Xu Han missed something, Jiu Xin Miao as a piece of sacred treasure, I seem to have heard of it. For it to appear it requires a special situation. Unknowingly a barrier appeared that encircled all the cultivators present. They were all shocked by the situation, apparently it was a trap, and was a fairly large magic weapon. Suddenly the stone monument exploded and a nuclear bomb appeared. Xu Han had expected it, used the stone monument to lure everyone in, then used the magic weapon to trap the cultivator. Next, use a nuclear bomb that has been set to kill all cultivators with one strike. It's no wonder that the news was uploaded to the internet, this was planned beforehand. Killing the cultivator with one hit and successfully opening the Jiu Xian Miao, Xu Han thought.